12:15 p.m. on a Tuesday, my wife's iPad synced. As I sat at the kitchen counter, finishing leftover pasta, a series of messages scrolled across the screen, messages not intended for me. I read 4 before setting down my fork. By 6 p.m. that day, my bags were by the front door. The messages exchanged between Jenna and Corey, a personal trainer at her gym since January, painted a picture that was clear enough without reading every message. The fourth one sealed it. She confessed feelings she hadn't experienced since college, revealing Tuesday nights as the only thing keeping her going. However, a few messages earlier in late February, she had written something else to him, expressing a desire to stop, admitting that things were becoming too real, and confessing weekly lies to me. He managed to dissuade her in 3 texts. She stayed. That Tuesday night was when she told me about her book club. Each week for 3 months, I bid her farewell with "have fun with the friends," only to discover a photo of her in our bathroom mirror wearing an unfamiliar dress. I placed the iPad on the counter, keeping my hands steady. I phoned Ray, a contractor seeking storage space for some items in his garage. He agreed. Climbing the stairs, I retrieved a duffel bag from the closet and began folding shirts. This was my decision: no tears, no phone calls, no arguments, not just yet. I had approximately 5 hours before she returned home, intending to utilize every minute. Jenna and I have been married for 7 years. I'm a high school shop teacher specializing in woodworking and metalwork, types of work that keep my hands occupied while quieting my mind. We met through her cousin at a cookout in Dayton. She was humorous, easy to converse with. We purchased a small house on Maple Ridge 2 years ago. No children, she preferred waiting, and I did not press the issue. For a while, things were steady if not ideal. She often complained about my long work hours on side projects like making furniture. We'd quarrel, reconcile, and then quarrel again, typical relationship stuff. But around November, something changed. She joined a new gym, started leaving home earlier, coming back later. Her friend Lisa, who ran the Tuesday book club, began texting her excessively. I observed these changes but chose not to mention them. I thought she needed space rather than attention. That was my first error. Standing in our bedroom on that particular Tuesday while packing clothes into a bag, I could still detect her scent on the pillow. It had been 3 months since she started attending the book club, and I'd never seen that dress before. I sealed the bag and took it downstairs. Then I retrieved the locked box from the hall closet containing birth certificates, the deed, our marriage license, and placed it in my car's trunk. Whatever was about to transpire, I wanted my documents nearby. For the next 2 hours, I moved quickly. Placed my tools and 2 containers of personal items into the race truck. He arrived unannounced, offering assistance with a heavy load. I moved to the left without exchanging words, drew $500 from the ATM, sufficient for a week's expenses, took a seat at the kitchen table and jotted down a brief list on the back of an envelope: tasks to accomplish, information to acquire, statements to make. The list contained 3 entries in the say category. One of them was a query for Jenna. The other 2 were not questions but statements. By 4:30 p.m., my belongings were lined up by the front door: 2 duffel bags, a box of footwear, and a garment bag. I left behind most of my things, planning to stay away for some time. Ensured the iPad was back on the counter in its usual place, screen locked. Then I settled on the couch and waited, not out of fear, but so she'd walk in and notice the bags first. At 5:42 p.m., I heard the key turn in the lock. The door opened. She entered, placed her handbag on a nearby seat, then noticed the bags. She halted. Her gaze shifted between the bags and me. I remained stationary. She inquired about the situation. Her tone was relaxed, yet subtly annoyed, as if I had rearranged the furniture without informing her. I didn't immediately respond. I allowed a few moments of silence to fill the room before speaking. "Your iPad synced today," I said. Her expression altered, more akin to a flinch, like she had touched something hot. She opened her mouth, closed it, then reopened it. She declared that she could provide an explanation. I informed her I wasn't seeking an explanation. I told her I had read the messages, seen the photograph in the dress, and was aware of Tuesdays. She gripped the counter's edge tightly, causing her knuckles to turn white. She asked where I was going. I replied, "Somewhere other than here." That was when she screamed. Not an outburst of rage, but an unplanned, primitive noise that wasn't expected. A single, booming statement echoed off the kitchen tiles. "The baby is due in September." I was making my way towards the door, my fingers gripping the bag strap. I halted not because I trusted her words, but because that utterance was either the most deceitful lie she'd ever told or the truth that altered everything. I swiveled around. I requested a repetition. She trembled. She confessed to learning about it 2 weeks prior and not knowing how to inform me. I scrutinized her hands, pressed against the counter as if trying to support herself. I posed a query with no inflection. "Is it yours?" Her reaction suggested I'd hurled an object. She responded, "Of course it's mine. How can you even think that?" I retorted, "Because 3 months of messages with a personal trainer named Corey provide me the reason to inquire." She fell silent. That silence relayed more than any response could have. After a protracted pause, she admitted, "Yes." I asserted, swearing having little impact in the current situation. I directly met her gaze and stated, "You organized a book club for him and were expecting a baby from me, yet you intended to inform me about both according to your timeline." She covered her mouth. That statement struck a chord. Then I sought the name of her physician. She disclosed it was Dr. Halpern at Riverside Medical. I noted it down in my phone. She attempted to discuss trust, but I halted her. I declared, "You squandered that word 3 months ago." I gathered my belongings. She inquired if I was still departing. I confirmed yes. She asked where. I revealed Ray's residence. Then I exited. The following morning at 8, I texted Jenna a single line, "Send me the MyChart screenshot or I file a report today." 3 minutes later, my phone vibrated. A screenshot from her patient portal, appointment date, provider name, due date were displayed. September 14th. I mentally calculated it like a student solving homework problems. Late December, Christmas week. For 7 days consecutively, we were inseparable, snowbound at our shared residence. The sequence of events aligned. Regardless, it didn't solve anything, but it prevented me from leaving without consequence. Later that day, I sought counsel at a family law office on 3rd Street, where I met with a woman named Karen Wells for half an hour. I disclosed the situation, the messages, the affair, the pregnancy, and my prior departure. She plainly explained that if the child was mine, a clean exit would require more than just a travel bag. Grateful for her advice, I paid the consultation fee and departed with a postnuptial agreement template. Unplanned later in the day, I went to Iron Athletics, Corey's gym, and inquired about his availability at the front desk. A girl there indicated a tall, mid-20s man near the cable machines. Wearing a backward baseball cap, he was likely expecting me. Upon seeing me approach, he set down the weight handle. I believe he had been informed beforehand. Perhaps Jenna had alerted him, or maybe it was my expression that gave me away. I didn't raise my volume. I simply stated, "I'm Jenna's spouse. You've been meeting her on Tuesdays." He attempted to speak. He began discussing how Jenna mentioned our separation. I raised my hand to halt him. I said, "Irrespective of what she told you, I am concerned about your future actions. If you reach out to her once more, a message, a phone call, even a glance in the parking lot, you'll be hearing from my lawyer, not me." He gazed at the floor. I could see 2 clients seated on a bench feigning indifference. He nodded. I left, and he followed. My hands were trembling when I reached the car, not out of fear, but due to the exertion of maintaining that composed tone. I drove to Ray's residence, sat on his back porch, and called Jenna. I shared 2 pieces of information with her. First, I visited Corey. Second, she had until Friday to sign a post-nuptial agreement or I would initiate divorce proceedings, recording the affair in the process. She began crying. I informed her that tears were not an answer. On Friday, I required an answer. After that, I ended our call. By Thursday morning, Jenna stood at Ray's doorstep. He let her enter and left us in the kitchen alone. She appeared exhausted. On the table, she placed a folded sheet from her MyChart account. It displayed the pregnancy confirmation and estimated due date, September 14th. She disclosed that she had arranged for a paternity test, non-invasive, with just a blood draw needed. Results within a week. She assured me she would take any necessary steps to confirm the baby was mine. A second paper followed on the table. It was the post-nuptial agreement signed. I looked at her signature, then at her. She admitted to severing ties with Corey, deleting his number, canceling their gym membership, informing friend Lisa about the end of their lie. I inquired about Lisa's role. Jenna explained that Lisa had once vouched for the book club when I inadvertently questioned it. This information struck a chord with me. The lie had a structure, not an accidental slip. It was a mechanism. I collected both documents, informing Karen Wells to examine the contract. Jenna inquired about my return home. I replied I wasn't yet. The paternity test results arrived on Thursday. I examined the email in Ray's garage, near a table saw I utilized to keep busy. The child was mine. I set down the phone and gazed at the wall for approximately 10 seconds. Then I picked it up and contacted Jenna. I disclosed the findings. She began to retort with, "I told you so," but I interjected. I said, "This doesn't rectify your actions. This provides me a reason to continue the discussion, not a reason to forgive you." That weekend, I returned to the house, not to settle in to establish terms. Jenna started discussing how it transpired, her feelings of loneliness, and how Corey made her feel appreciated. I intended to speak for around 2 sentences. Then I said, I don't require your explanations, I need your response. She halted. I communicated my requirements. Weekly marriage therapy sessions, complete honesty via phone, location, and schedule determined. The postnuptial agreement remains in force. If I discover another message, another deception, or another reason for her Tuesday night absences, there will be no follow-up discussion. There will only be a filing date. She questioned if that meant we were trying again. I replied, that means I'm giving our child a chance. You are on probation. She consented to all of it. I didn't experience relief. Instead, I felt like a man entering an uncertain structure. 2 weeks into counseling, the therapist questioned Jenna about when she realized the affair was wrong. Jenna replied that it was during the night she screamed about the baby, driven by fear rather than manipulation. The therapist asked if I trusted her response. I said the fear was authentic, but I wasn't certain about the rest. That week, Lisa messaged me, having obtained my number from Jenna's old contacts. She attached a screenshot of a call log with Corey's name next to an unidentified number. Her message read, Jenna bought a burner. I chose not to respond. I dialed the number from the screenshot snapshot. A woman answered, this is Mike's Auto Spa, how may I assist you? Lisa had falsified it by putting Corey's name above a car wash number, but I still drove home. I placed the phone on the counter and instructed Jenna to explain. She said that Lisa had been threatening her since Jenna told Lisa's husband about their cover story. I said, give me your phone immediately. She complied without hesitation. I scrutinized all messages, calls, deleted items, app purchases, nothing suspicious. The online bill was clean. However, holding my wife's phone in the kitchen, I realized I would be checking phones from then on if I stayed. I had to decide if that was a life I could accept. It wasn't until 3 days later in the Riverside medical parking lot after our first ultrasound that I made my decision. The heartbeat appeared on the screen. Jenna reached for my hand. I did not resist, but I did not reciprocate either. The physician declared everything appeared well. I exited into daylight, contacted a contractor Ray suggested. I informed him I wanted an extra bedroom transformed into a nursery. He inquired about the timeline. I responded as soon as conveniently possible. Jenna overheard the final part of the call. She inquired about the reason. I disclosed I was creating a room for my child within my residence, which she was welcome to reside in as long as the terms applied. She remained silent. I opened the car's driver's side, ignited the engine, and waited for her to get in at her own pace. She did. Corey departed from Iron Athletics 2 weeks later, moved to another state, according to Ray. Lisa and Jenna never exchanged words again. The postnuptial agreement remained in a fireproof box in my closet, not ours, mine. Corinne Wells was on speed dial, and Jenna was aware of it. Every Tuesday evening, I arrived home early, not to monitor her. To occupy the nursery I constructed with my own hands and smoothed the edges of an oak crib I was crafting myself. That room was mine. The remainder was still under consideration.